About 2/3 of the energy that we produce at GRU is produced with natural gas. The price of natural gas increased about 300% over the course of a year. So in June of 2021, GRU paid about $3.5 million for natural gas to produce energy. In June of 22, we paid almost $16 million to produce energy with natural gas. So there was this massive spike in international commodity prices for natural gas. That is the reason that there was a huge difference in GRU bills from one year to the next. And honestly, as climate change continues to affect us and we have warmer winters and summers that go on longer, we use our air conditioners more. So that keeps bills high as well. Because inflation happens and it costs more to run the utility. So the electric rate, which is not the same thing as the fuel adjustment we didn't raise, the general manager raised because that's not the purview of the city commission, but the fuel adjustment charge got raised because of the price of natural gas, as we just talked about. The electric rate is what we use to run the utility. You know, it costs more money to run the utility as inflation rises. So there were increases. The increase in the electric rate is a few dollars a month, literally a few dollars a month. I mean, probably 5 or 6 on the average bill. It is not the difference in the year-over-year huge increase in bills. And we have to keep in mind that a GRU bill is electric, it's natural gas, it's water, it's wastewater, it's stormwater, it's solid waste collection. Our wastewater rates remain near the middle of the pack for Florida. Our natural gas rates, for people who use natural gas for heating and for your kitchen and for water heaters and things, are among the lowest in the state. Our electric rates are higher, but when you put it all together and you look at the bottom of the bill, which is what really matters, right? When you open the envelope, that's what you look at, that's what matters. It's big. And part of the reason for that is that we bundle all these services together. The reason it's bigger year over year is straight up because it costs us more money, a lot more money to make energy than it did a year and a half ago. Sure, they're very common. I'm going to get the number wrong, but there are at least a couple dozen, and I think more like 30 municipal utilities in Florida, just in Florida. They're very common that cities own a utility. Now, it's not common that a utility as a unit of a city has as many different utilities bundled under it as we do in Gainesville. It is rare to get a utility bill that has electric, water, wastewater, natural gas, stormwater, solid waste collection, all on the same bill. That is different than most communities. Now, everybody's paying those things. They're just paying them to separate people, separate business units, separate companies. But in Gainesville, we do it all on one bill. I am working, some other commissioners are working on being able to remove at least solid waste collection, which again, for people who live in single-family homes, not apartment complexes, is between $20 and $40 a month off the bill and onto potentially property tax bill. So it won't go away, but at least it's something that comes off that enormous bill that you get every month. So there's a general fund transfer, as there is in nearly every municipal utility. It's a very, very common thing. The city of Tallahassee has it, Jacksonville has it, I believe, Orlando has it, I'm pretty sure. It is not an uncommon thing. What is uncommon is that it's a political football. In most cities, if you just do a Google search on utility transfers, you won't find much. All the headlines are Gainesville because it's a political football here and it has been for a long, long time. Our utility transfer right now is lower than it was, dollar for dollar, not accounting for inflation or anything else, dollar for dollar, lower than it was 10 years ago. We've lowered it, we kept it the same 2 years in a row. We lowered it $2 million the next year, lowered it another $2 million the year after that, and we have an agreement that we will lower it $2 million a year for the next 4 or 5 years, I forget exactly, but by which point it will be, as a percentage of revenue for the utility and in total dollars, lower than it has been in anybody's memory. We're actively lowering that. That money goes to, because again, it's all the city of Gainesville. It's not this company over here and the city of Gainesville. It's all the city of Gainesville. We use that to pay for basic services, just like all the other revenue for general government. So we take what is over and above the cost of managing the utility is the transfer. That goes back toward general government, which is how we pay for parks and police and fire and things like that. This year, I want to say it's 34 million and change, which again, $34 million is a lot of money. But as a percentage of revenue for the utility, it's lower than it has been in a long time. And it is also the way that the University of Florida pays a tiny bit of its fair share. The University of Florida doesn't pay property taxes. They don't pay any taxes, but they're in the city of Gainesville. They're using city services. One of the ways that the University of Florida is able to pay its fair share is through the general fund transfer, because UF is GRU's, the city of Gainesville's biggest customer for utilities, biggest customer for water, for wastewater, I think for natural gas, one of the biggest customers even for electricity, even though most of the electricity at UF does not come from the city of Gainesville. That percentage of what UF pays in those utility bills, it goes into the transfer and is one of the ways that they're able to pay for services they don't pay for otherwise, including fire and police services that they get from the city of Gainesville. We do have debt associated with building that plant, with purchasing it. Whenever we build a new plant or purchase a new plant to create energy, there's going to be debt associated with that. That's the case whether it's renewables like this or whether it's burning coal or burning natural gas or whatever it is. And that's the case with DHR. It costs money to build it and buy it. But right now, biomass is cheaper than any other form of electricity we produce. And right now, about 30% of the energy that you use, that we use at this building and everywhere in our city, comes from that renewable resource. By the way, that 30%, it's somewhere between 25 and 32, 33%, depending on the month, depending on what all's going on. The statewide average for renewable energy, 4%. So our community said, 15 years ago, that we wanted, that having renewable energy mattered, that it was something that was of value to our community. That's why we have a biomass plant and not another coal plant. The alternative back then, by the way, was an enormous coal plant. I'm really glad we didn't build a coal plant. But the actual operation of that plant is less expensive, significantly less expensive than natural gas or coal at this point. So number one, the state of Florida sets utility areas and grants it to one utility in each area. That's just how that works. We don't make that decision at City Hall. We don't make it at GRU Administration Building. It is just not a Florida thing. There is utility choice in Texas. I want you to go back and look at headlines in Texas over the last year and a half and tell me how that works out for folks. There is utility choice in California. Go look at headlines in California, tell me how that works out for folks in California. Utility prices are going up everywhere because natural gas has increased drastically. The most important things, so in the short term, I want to help people get their bills paid. That is a thing we're working on. In the medium term, we need to get off natural gas. Well, that's done. In the medium term, we need to help people get more efficient appliances, to make their homes more efficient. And we have several programs to do that. Those programs right now mostly wait for you to come to us and ask about them. We need to be more aggressive with them. We need to be more aggressive about helping people make their home more efficient so that their bills go down. So that's the medium term. The long term is we need to get off natural gas. We need utility scale solar farms. That is one of the paths forward for this community, for every community. That has a capital cost, but the monthly cost goes way down. And then we are not at risk of international commodity prices going up and down and up and down. That's what we need to build toward and avoid.